Beautiful friends, is it possible, very possible actually, if we were to gaze into the future and gaze into a crystal ball, that we would see sometime in the future, perhaps sometime in our very near future, a massive tsunami wave hitting the east coast of the United States, especially hitting the Statue of Liberty in New York City. It's been depicted in movies and on television as if they're actually prepping us for some type of future event that's going to happen. What do you think they're trying to tell us? Not would it only just hit the United States, such an event would unleash such a tsunami wave that would affect many countries, including Brazil, all the way up to Ireland. So, would it have to be an East Coast tsunami? It could actually very well be an Atlantic Ocean tsunami that does affect millions of people along the coastlines of the Atlantic Ocean. So, what would you say if someone told you that there might be a plan, an actual plan backed by, say, the Illuminati global elite or the evildoers, that one day in the future, they're going to slam a tidal wave into New York City? Would you be one of the first ones to yell, conspiracy? Is there a problem with my sound, they say? Excuse me. This is a topic that would be should be very concerning to all people. I have my mic, there we go. This is a topic that should concern everyone, whether you're living in or near New York City, but not only just for New Yorkers or East Coasters, really the entire planet. For an event like this could bring down literally the entire world if we really thought about it. And like I said, today I'm going to show you how they put all of that right in front of our faces. What happens? What if, perhaps, just say perhaps, the evildoers have their own looking glass crystal ball to peer into the future themselves, so that they can prepare for global disasters while keeping all that valuable information about future events somewhat a secret, but also, at the same time, shoving it right in our faces, like they do. Look at the movie Contagion, and then look what happened in the year 2020. So, what do you think? When someone like myself, or even you, catch on to any of these sinister plans, we're instantly labeled. We're labeled a tinfoil hat wearing crazy person, or someone who might go to the extreme. Of course, again, there is always the possibility they simply have a magical crystal ball, revealing the future events to them. We already know that the government has their own circle of evil that they use, like remote viewers. They use their own psychics and astrologers, and they probably viewed and warned them of this future disaster. Regardless, they're preparing in some way or another. However it may be, this would also help to make sense of the fact that the global elite and even governments across the globe have went out of their way to build their underground bunkers, to prepare themselves in a nice fashionable way that makes them happy and joyful, while the rest of us sit on the outside. So is this event of a tidal wave crashing into the east coast of the United States a reality? And if so, when could such an event take place and why? I'm going to show you all that. Could it be a natural event that's bound to happen sometime on the planet regardless? And the elite and the governments obviously know about it. And perhaps they know when. Because again, they've been preparing a lot lately over the past few years. So something's heading our way. Today, I'm going to present to you some of my own visions, my own experiences with a potential wave crashing into the east coast of the United States, along with some in-your-face type of information that might lead you to begin to believe that perhaps either there is a plan utilizing some type of technology to crash a tidal wave into New York City, or someone or something, whether it be other forces behind the scenes, the Illuminati, or the global elite. But whatever the case may be, there's something that's going to play out and something that they saw in their own magical crystal ball. And perhaps, again, maybe it is something or some type of technology that helps them to peer into the future and to cause events to happen. So if you live, or your loved ones who live on the East Coast of the United States, I'm going to show you a simulation today of the different size tsunami waves and what it would look like and how far from the coast inland you would have to be to actually be in the safe zone. It's a question I get here often about safe zones and being in the safe zone. So today I'm going to show you a simulation of the East Coast and the different size tsunami waves. And remember, your opinion always matters to me, so please do leave comments and emojis down below so that we can get more information out to others. Other than that, before I move forward, I want to say welcome to my channel and back to my channel. Why am I being told something's not working here? Is it working? It seems to be working here. I don't know what YouTube's talking about. But welcome to my channel, back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. I welcome you with infinite love and gratitude. And I thank all of those who make this free content and all the time that it takes to prepare this content free for everybody else by supporting this channel in the many ways that you do so. Whether it be a member of the community down below, the Awaken Your Spirit community on Subscribestar, and all the other options, I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. And I thank those that are hanging out in the chat room that just put through Chat Cash C, Solid Rock. I thank you again with infinite love and gratitude. Down below in the comments, you will find all the information to all my social media events, including my free newsletter each and every month, the astrology, numerology, everything that's happening. You'll never miss any content either because it's always put in each and every newsletter. Sometimes I send out more a month. It depends what's going on. So check it out and check out all the other links down below. So moving right along, if you followed me long enough, you have heard me say time and time again that they put everything right in front of our faces. And if you ask who's they, who are they? Because I could hear people saying that right now. The spirit's echoing in my ear. Who's they? Well, you know, they go by many different names. They go by the name of the global elite. They go by the name of the Illuminati or the illuminated ones. Or, of course, they go by the C, the A, the BAL. They go by that as well. And we're quite familiar with who they all are, of course. Very, very familiar with that. And it's kind of really creepy when we think about it. So these illuminated ones who think that they're in control of everything, they put things in our faces through television, through movies, through the lying media, and even, something that I've showed you many times over. The Illuminati cards, the game set of the Illuminati cards, which I'm going to show you some of those cards today that relate to the potential of a massive tsunami hitting the East Coast. And not just, again, the East Coast of the United States, but anybody that's on the coast of the Atlantic. What if it was unleashed from the center of the Atlantic? If it were, you'd be affected on any coastline, again, all the way up from Brazil, all the way up to Ireland. Some folks strongly believe that an impending tsunami disaster has been shown in our faces, again, through the movies and these Illuminati cards. But even on the back of your money, that's right, even on the back of your money, I'm going to show you that today. What is even creepier is that they even in the architecture in New York City, at a very holy place, I must say, shows an impending disaster hitting New York City. Why would they put that on a holy building? I'm going to show you all of this today, but let us start off first with my own personal experience. And before I do, I again welcome you to my channel and thank you for showing your love by smashing that there love button. It takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to put this all together for you. Lots going on in the world. And it takes me even just to do Tuesday's show. And that's the other thing. If you're new here, each and every Tuesday, we do Tuesday's Tea Time prediction updates, where I go over world events that are important and may or may not relate to predictions and prophecy with new predictions each and every week. So check it out. And thanks for smashing that love button. And welcome everybody in the chat room. Glad you're hanging out with me on this Friday. So I remember when I was a child, our parents always taking us down to Wildwood, New Jersey, or other Jersey Shore points and destinations. And I've always been the beach kind of guy. Love the beach. I'm an ocean lover, and I especially love swimming through the waves of the ocean. But I also remember some very haunting dreams as a child, and even a vision when I was on the beach when I was about 6 or 7 years old. At first, I thought it was real. But then Mama said, no, it's an optical illusion, or you're just daydreaming. But I know what I saw. I saw the most largest wave you could ever possibly imagine forming out off the coast of New Jersey. And again, this was mid to late 70s, 1976, 77, to be somewhat precise. Interesting that this experience on the beach, it didn't scare me though. I felt as if I've done this once before, and I knew I would be back, that I would be okay, but back perhaps for another round, no matter what it may be. But again, most importantly, I always felt like I'd be okay and never really scared me. There was one dream that scared me, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But as a matter of fact, moments after the experience on the beach, I ran full speed right towards the waters and jumped right in. No fear. So now the dreams again, that haunted my childhood, that was quite different. And during most times, extremely frightening. The most repetitive dream was of myself. And I was crawling on my hands and knees across the Burlington-Bristol Bridge. And anybody lives out there and they know what bridge I'm talking about. It goes from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. That bridge, when I was a child, I don't know what it was, but it scared the bejesus out of me. Always as a child. I remember the first time I had to drive across it. That wasn't so bad. But when I was a little ankle biter, that bridge definitely scared me. And I would be crawling across, consumed by fear. And then the winds would be ripping through the bridge like never before. And the bridge would be swaying back and forth. And in my dream, I could feel my heart pounding as I'm crawling on my hands and knees with pounding rains and hail and a feeling like the bridge was going to collapse. And that was the scariest part for me, was the fact that the bridge would sway back and forth. That freaked me out in my dream. And I prayed every dream that I would make it across safely. But the dream always came to a sudden close. And it would haunt me for night after night for many, many, many years. Many years. So, recently, love your water. Recently, I had an experience from a past life where I witnessed myself. And I've been having a lot of these lately, which is actually in the prophecies where people would begin to remember as we're heading into the new earth. And I've had many flashbacks of past lives. And I do past life regression and such as well. But this was just a flash of knowing and being there, clear as day. So I witnessed myself literally being washed away by this enormous tsunami wave. And it appeared to me like I may have been perhaps on a large island or on a place such as, for example, Crete or somewhere around Italy. Except, of course, neither one of them were in existence wherever I happened to be, which I would say on the previous Earth before it shifted the last time. That place doesn't exist now. And because it was so long ago, I would assume thousands of years ago. I also recall very clearly that I was a male. I had olive complexion, maybe like Italian, I don't know. And I was around 26, 27 years old. At the oldest, maybe my early 30s. Couldn't really tell. That was my feeling. And literally, this was a past life vision and an experience that completely washed over me. No pun intended. Washed over me. So now I know that I've seen it before. And perhaps, just a perhaps, I'm here to witness it again. Hopefully as a survivor this round. Hopefully as a survivor. So some may ask, are you sure it was a vision from a past life? Yes, I am very, very 100% sure. It was also very clear to me, and I felt as if I was there knowing that it was me, and I was indeed there. Perhaps maybe it was Lemuria. Perhaps it was Atlantis. Perhaps it was neither. I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is that I was there. And I thought that I would share that with you because that was just recent that happened. Probably this year, actually. Yeah, it was this year. So I don't know. And some people may ask, is that a vision of the future? No, it was me in the dream, but I wasn't me. I was somebody else. So I knew it was a past life flashback. Thank you, Bonnie, for your chat cash. Now let me take you onwards to the next part because I got some really wild stuff to show you, friends. Let me move on to the so-called conspiracy that when you fold up money, it becomes prophetic and shows visions of the future, right? I'm sure you probably heard this. One of these goes back. You might first recall the folded up $20 bill. Let me bring that up here for you. Where'd they all go? $20 bill right there. So first we have the $20 bill folded up that is allegedly supposed to be an event that took place back in September that is supposed to look like the Pentagon and a hit in the Pentagon. That is what that one is supposed to represent. Then we move on, and I could be. You never know. They do put everything in our faces in a weird way. But the same $20 bill folded up allegedly shows this. And this goes back, I forget, 2012 maybe. I remember seeing this happen, seeing this all over the place. And the folded $20 bill allegedly shows, again, what took place in New York City back in 2001. There's also the alarming bill that's folded up, the folded up bill prophecy, as I like to call it, that has yet to occur. The one that we're still waiting to happen, which of course aligns perfectly with our topic today. I showed you that one right here, the $100 bill. So this isn't a clear shot. I got better clear shots for you, but this is supposed to be a big wave coming through the streets of a city. And once upon a time, it was easy to find this information online with good, clear pics, but I really had a hard time finding these. It took me a while to locate them, as if they scrubbed them from the net so that we didn't have access to the germ that the evildoers fear. They fear the most, truth. So that's that one. I got a better copy here. There we go. So people say that that's supposed to be, again, the big wave coming. And it kind of looks right there like a big wave. Sure does. Definitely sure does. But folded up, and this is folded up several different ways. This is from the movie The Last Day, I believe, or The Day After Tomorrow. Both pretty much similar in the premise of the movie, the apocalyptic times. And that's what this is supposed to represent. A take, and that kind of looks very, very similar. Again, could be somebody just looking for something that might not actually exist. I want to know, again, what you think down below in the comments. I have another clear one right here. So that's supposed to be the skyscrapers on each side with small building, and it's supposed to be the trees represent the waves or the water. Just like in the $20 bill, it represents the smoke and the fire. This is where it gets interesting, friends. This is where people believe on the back of the $100 bill that this is what's causing, bringing about a big wave. And as you see right at the bottom, at the bottom center of the page, straight up, some people say that appears to be a missile going into the ocean, and of course the big spraying up of the waves. Now, some people also say that it kind of looks like an airplane. So look at that. There's your airplane. There's that. Looks kind of like the tail of an airplane. An explosive airplane, perhaps? I don't know. But it kind of does. Just a little bit. And that's the conspiracies wrapped around the folded dollar bill prophecy, as I like to call it. The folded dollar bill prophecy. What's this one? Oh, that's the plane. Deplane. So what about big tech? A lot of people believe that big tech, and they do, in their logos and in basically their logos, they show many different symbols, including symbols of particular groups of people that they like to support that I can't even tell you about. So big tech putting things in our faces. And again, some foil hat wearers, as they call it, perhaps like myself, may believe that these symbols actually represent something significant. So let me start up with the first up. First up is the Google logo right here. There you go. The Google logo obviously shows a major wave washing towards whatever. And again, to me, it's just a logo. It might not mean anything at all. But I'm just putting out there what everybody talks about and what the people are saying. This is Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge, as you see, showing, of course, the symbol of a tsunami wave. And when I was looking for this, I actually stumbled upon on the Microsoft website this interesting documentary right here. Tsunamis facing a global threat. A 52-minute documentary. I couldn't find the documentary. I tried to click on it. It wouldn't let me click on it from 2020. But interesting that this came out, a documentary. I'm going to still continue to look for it because I want to watch it. I very much want to watch it. So 2020, tsunamis facing a global threat on the Microsoft website. So, if you're living on the coast of New Jersey or any coast, you're going to start seeing this sign. Tsunami hazard zone. In case of an earthquake, go to higher ground. But how much higher ground could you possibly go to? Can't go that high, especially when I show you the levels in these sea levels of the coastlines and what size potential waves could come inland and how far inland they will go. I'm going to show you that today. So pretty soon you're going to start seeing those signs. And before I show you the next alarming symbolism of the future, wave crashing into New York City in a very holy place. It's not documented, but it's symbolized in a very holy place, a church, of course, to be exact. I'm going to show you that church and talk all about that church in a little bit. But I've also made some predictions, if you follow me long enough, about the Canary Islands. And I've had visions of big waves. I've had visions of islands sinking under the water, which initially I thought was likely the Solomon Islands. But what if perhaps it is the Canary Islands? The Canary Islands, if you're not familiar with it, right off the Canary Islands, we have the La Palma. La Palma, which is right off the coast of Africa. This beautiful islands, which is the home of La Palma, a volcano that is said to be one of the most dangerous ones in the world, mostly due to the fact that it could cause a massive landslide that crashes into the Atlantic Ocean, sending a tsunami wave to the east coast of the United States and New York City, too, to be exact. What do you think? I think it's pretty interesting. And if you remember in my past predictions, they said there'd be a massive volcanic eruption, and La Palma happened shortly after. Even my students in Shamanic Journey were getting the same information. That video goes back a few years ago, and it all did happen. And when it did, that was the big concern. Is it going to, fall into the ocean and cause a tsunami wave? It did not, thankfully. And a lot of La Palma kind of caved inwards. Doesn't mean that it's not going to become active once again. Now, of course, we also have to mention the Illuminati cards, of course. Put out by Steve Jackson Games. The Illuminati cards put out by Steve Jackson Games. Well, that's not it. Where'd Steve Jackson go? I don't know where Steve Jackson went. Oh, there it is. There we go. Oh, I got to go on this side. The Illuminati cards put out by Steve Jackson Games. And this was put out in the early 90s between 1992 and 1993. And I've shown you the cards many, many times. And sadly, there's actually some of these cards I can't show you. Because I tried. I even did a video on that TikTok platform and they blocked me out, friends. They blocked my videos. I've been blocked more on TikTok than here. Crazy. What do you think of that? I think it's all a conspiracy. So in the Illuminati cards, first up, we have the tidal wave. Oh, that's not it either. There it is, the tidal wave card. The tidal wave card. And as you see there in that tidal wave card, you see the what looks like a nuclear powers plant to many. And this is exactly what did happen in Japan on March 11th, 2001. Which is it was in my January 2001 predictions. I said that Japan would get hit with the tsunami and massive earthquake. And they did 3 months after I said it. So this card, a lot of people do believe. There is also a card that shows a damage to a nuclear power plant. I didn't pull that card up because it didn't really play a role in the tsunami on the East Coast. But I thought this was really interesting because if you know anything about the Illuminati cards and know how to play their little Illuminati game, it's a game. You have to look it up for yourselves. Again, the game set is by Steve Jackson's Games, which is also interesting that Steve Jackson's Games, when they came out with these, was rated by the CIA. That should tell you something right there. And then we have this card. Yeah. NWO, friends. Global warming. New York City underwater and the Statue of Liberty drowning in the floodwaters. This is the same scene, the exact same scene, actually, that is depicted in the movie The Last Day. Right there. Right? Interesting. So is that telling us something? And it wasn't the only movie that showed us that. There was The Day After Tomorrow. There was the movie 2012, the movie Apocalypse. So lots of movies depict this same scene right here. And then we have this card, a meteor strike. The third one I show you is also somewhat alarming because it's literally depicting such. In this card, it's showing a potential meteor crashing into the earth. And if you recall, just within the past few years, let me show you that movie right here. Where is it? Oh, no, I have it here. I thought I had it. There it is. Nope, that's not the one. It's this one. Remember this movie? With the meteors? The Greenland with Russell Crowe that just came out, last year, the year before? Definitely within the past 2 years this movie came out. So is that potentially what they're trying to tell us right here, that there's a meteor strike that's going to come? Well, if you follow me again long enough, you'll also know that this is a scenario that can play out in the year 2029 when the comet Apophis passes the Earth. And not only is it passing in 2029, it's going to pass again in 2036, 7 years later. Now, with all that said, do you know, even The Simpsons predicted it right here, who are notorious for eerie predictions in future events. And as you see here, look at what happens. Lisa and Marge go in, and it's like a museum. And they're told, you see what it says up top, press the button to see. And in the show, it says over the next 3 days, this is going to happen. And Marge says, 3 days is an awful long time, she says, which really 3 days is not a lot of time at all. And again, if you know anything about The Simpsons, they are notorious for predicting the future. And I am actually working on another video on The Simpsons predictions and prophecy. Hopefully I will have it done and out by Monday, but keep an eye out for it. So in that episode, you see what happens. So perhaps, this is a little way, and you see the little characters that are floating at the top of the water, and that's a cartoon that kids watch. Are they trying to desensitize your kids? Like, so that when something like that happens, they're a little more desensitized to it? So anyway, lastly, I want to take you to a very holy place, a very beautiful place in New York City, a place with amazingly gorgeous architecture and design, so some extremely alarming designs, to say the least. And this is alarming, friends. We're going to this beautiful place right here. On the portal of paradise, on the western facet of Cathedral of St. John the Divine in Manhattan, there are sculptures of the end of modern New York. The Brooklyn Bridge is breaking in two, a bus plummeting into the waters while waves rise up over the toppling skyline. As we move on, we look at these sculptures here. These sculptures are on the column bases, and on the column bases of the sculptures there on the right shows the apocalypse. And when we go a little bit closer here, St. John is usually attributed as the author of the book of Revelation. And when British artist Simon Veretti carved this Gothic-influenced sculpture between the years 1988 and 1997, he added St. John the Divine himself standing atop the four horsemen, as you see in this picture of the apocalypse, with contemporary takes on the themes on either side. And you'll see the four horsemen of the apocalypse right there at his feet. And we move on to the next one. Move that out of the way. That's a little bit of a closer view. This is the back end, the north side of the west portal. And on that, it just shows it interesting. It shows a dragon creature meeting up with a dog right there at the top. The dragon on the corner. The dog right there in front of him, looking at him. It's kind of just interesting sculpture piece, but this is where it gets really interesting, friends. This is the column bases opposite of the apocalypse. So I'll show you the apocalypse scenes in a minute, but this is the column bases opposite of the apocalypse scenes that show hands in communion, of course. What looks like a baby head coming out from a flower, a garden scene, and what looks like to be a Atomium monument in Brussels. This is actually the Kabbalah tree. Same thing. So you see the tree of life, the Kabbalah tree on there as well. And now we move on to the apocalyptic scenes, starting with this. This is where it gets creepy, friends. And hopefully you can see this really, really well. I'll get it a little bit closer. Look at that. You can go look these pictures up for yourself. Again, it's St. John the Divine Cathedral in Manhattan, New York. And what I find interesting is up on the right-hand side there, you see the Twin Towers. And you see them splitting apart and falling, which is interesting. You also see on the left one, the bridge breaking in half and collapsing in a car vehicle, falling off the bridge. Didn't we just see a bridge collapse? Not that it's related at all, but it's just kind of interesting. Be even more interesting if a bridge collapse were to happen in New York City. This gets really, really creepy. And the pictures, I got to make it even bigger. Taking it back to that one. And actually, let me bring the pictures up myself because I can't see them that well. Hopefully you can see them well, but I can't seem to see them very well. St. John, I'd love to go see that in real time. I imagine it's probably a gorgeous sight. Hey, and I hope you're all having a great day today, amazing day today. I'm just opening this up to make it bigger so I could show you a little bit more of what we got going on here. Okay, there we go. So to the second pole from the left. So counting over, that's where you see the bridge. You see the Statue of Liberty there. You see the waters all collapsing down and falling like never before. It's kind of interesting. And again, on that third pole to the right, that's where you see the Twin Towers. And you see buildings literally falling over in accordance to what this is showing us, which I find very, very interesting. To the right of that, I don't know how good you could see that there, but that's actually skeleton dude looking out. Three skeleton dudes looking out. And to the far, far left, it shows what looks like angels pulling a canopy up, which is kind of interesting and odd at the same time. And within that, of course, are the big waves that are washing away the skyscrapers of New York City, friends. That is what is happening. What do you think about that? Let me bring up the other one. Look at that. That's where you could see it a little bit more clear with the Twin Towers, the bus falling. And I do encourage you to go online and look up these photos for yourself. They're quite shocking. Quite shocking. Now we're going to go back to the year 1933. That's about approximately the year that they started putting this in people's faces, even though most of those people aren't alive anymore. My dad's close to that year, and I guess they'd be in their 90s now, actually. They'd be in their early 90s, right? 33, 6. Yeah, they'd be in their 91, 92 years old. So we go back to the year 1933. And take note of that interesting number 33, as you know, the master number 33. Did you also know that most of New York is 33 feet above sea level? Perhaps a sign, maybe a coincidence, I don't know, but this was a blockbuster film for New York in 1933, as you see here, depicting the whole, of course, collapse due to an earthquake and a huge tsunami wave. So back in 1933, friends, they were talking about that. 1933. We also have, of course, other movies like The Last Day that depicts the big wave coming in. We also have the movie 2012, The Apocalypse, The Day After Tomorrow, all in our faces about an event that might be happening in the future. Well, maybe. We don't know. But they sure are making us feel like it's coming one way or another. It's just kind of, I don't believe in coincidence. And I showed you on Tuesday On Tuesday's show, the fifth time that we saw that strange anomaly appear on the NEXRAD radar coming from the Arctic. Remember, I showed you that coming up the Arctic and the Atlantic, showing 83-foot high waves. All right. And obviously, we have friends in Africa that left comments. They ain't getting no waves like that. That whatever's happening, they're saying it's a glitch in the system. 5 times now. Could this be some type of a test, perhaps? Or maybe they're doing a simulation. You know, they did a simulation before 2020 came. We know about that. So we also know that the Russians allegedly, don't believe everything the media tells you, remember that, but they allegedly possess a submarine with the capability of bringing about a toxic radiated tsunami wave. And I guarantee you, if Russia has it, so does United States, and so does China. And that would be, to me, there's so many submarines, that would be the least way that they would do it, friends. Most commonly, it would be like you saw in that $100 bill, a missile or something going directly in there. And then they'll use their what do you call it? Project Bluebeam to tell you that it's a meteor or something. You know, that's if they were to do it. Now, you got to remember, this is also in the prophecies as natural events that occur on our planet quite frequently. Well, not quite frequently, but every few thousand years. And we're heading towards that time. So are they preparing us for an event that they plan to unleash to fool the masses? Or is this going to be a true Earth event, again, predicted by all ancient cultures? That has occurred before, and that's going to occur again. The big question is, when exactly? When could such an event happen? New York City is actually, again, only 33 feet above sea level. Some parts only 30 feet above sea level, which makes you think that, you know, won't take very much to sink that island. That actually, if you're not aware, it has been recently documented over the past few years that New York, the island, is actually sinking by so many millimeters per year. So it's sinking already. It won't take much to make it really sink and go under the waters. Just a thought. Just a thought. I believe the next big floods for New York City are going to come from a super hurricane within the next 2 to 4 years, maybe even within the next year. This is going to drive many people out of New York City, as people are currently already fleeing New York City by the thousands, perhaps on a deep soul level. Think about that. Maybe on a deep soul level, they know what's coming. And also, they know that they're not meant to be there when it happens on a subconscious level. We see people fleeing there. We see people fleeing California, 2 places that have been, warned in movies that would be hit by earthquakes and tsunamis. So perhaps people are fleeing because it's not part of their soul contracts to be there when it occurs. Moving on. So this is what it would look like if a tsunami was unleashed from the Canary Islands off the East Coast. So let me bring this up. Hold on. I lost my spot. Boom, 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 ba-doom. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. This is it. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I don't have it here. Oh, darn. Hold on, I'm going to bring it over. I have this picture. This is an important picture to show you. Where'd it go? I swear. Oh, the canary. It's called the canary picture. The canary picture. I'm just going to upload it real quick. It'll take me 1 second. Be patient. Thank you, canary. This is an important picture. I got to get it up there. I thought I put it in, but, there's so much I had to put in. I just happened to miss that one. Where are you, canary? There you are. There you are. There he is. So let me go up. Canary, where'd you go? Boom. Okay, let me make that big. There you go. All right, friends. Canary Islands there in that little circle, blue circle to the right off the coast of Africa. So this is the scenario if there was to be something that occurred from the coast of Africa and how long it would take to end up hitting the different coastlines. And as you see here, even folks all the way up in Brazil and all the way over to Ireland are being hit by waves. And if you remember correctly, it was just recently that I warned Ireland and Scotland of just minor quakes, which they don't get. It's rare, and they did. And I also had visions not that long ago of a big wave hitting a coastline in Ireland. And again, this could be years from now because some of my predictions take a few years to come into fruition. But overall, this is what we're looking at. And if you look closely, if that happened now, it would take, literally 6-7 hours to hit the United States. Same with Brazil. I mean, folks, it's hitting all over the place. If we look at the scenarios, it doesn't have to be La Palma or the Canary Islands. There could also be a massive quake beneath the Atlantic. A meteor could strike right there in the center of the Atlantic, or even just right off the coast of Africa where the Canary Islands are. And the global psychopaths, of course, could also unleash something of their own. Regardless, look at this and see how it would affect so many coastlines, so many countries, not just the United States, and certainly not just New York City. So several observations regarding 300-foot tsunami waves. Several very interesting simulations to show you what it would be like if there happened to be a wave anywhere from 75 feet in height to 300 feet in height, tsunami waves. And let me just tell you a few cities and how far above the sea level you are. That isn't much high, not high at all. Portland, Maine's only 50 feet. Boston, Massachusetts, 30. New Haven, Connecticut, 50. Bridgeport, Connecticut, 40. Jersey City, 30. Newark, 50. Atlantic City, 10 feet. Wow, Atlantic City be gone. Virginia Beach, Virginia, 10 feet. Wilmington, North Carolina, and even Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 20 feet. Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia, just 10 feet. And same with Daytona Beach and West Palm Beach in Florida. So that's a lot. Now let's look at this first simulation that I have here for you, right here. This simulation is the elevation simulation that shows how different size waves are going to hit the coasts of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and New York. That's depicted here. Oh, I got a stiff neck. I need a massage. So that's that one. And then we move on to number 2, because number 2, we have the Chesapeake Bay and North Carolina coast. Not looking too good for them, that's for sure. 300 feet wave. Boom. And then we move on to the North and South Carolina coast, which appears to be a complete disaster, actually. Look, there's like nothing left at a 300-foot wave. Like nothing. It's like gone. Boom. Gone. Gone, friends. And then we have the Georgia coastal elevation simulation. And then lastly, we have our friends down there in Florida. And Florida's definitely not looking too good, friends. Florida's definitely not looking good. It certainly would not be very good for Florida. Even the smallest tsunami, look at just even the 75 feet. It leaves like islands. It leaves a couple islands in the center. That's it. And that's the scenario. That is what it would be like, depending on the size waves that would hit New York City. So I believe it's a combination of both, friends. I believe it's a combination of both the global psychopaths that I feel are already pushing, and we know they're pushing it. Come on, they're pushing the climate in our faces. And the climate look what's going on with the climate. It's been pretty crazy. So I believe it's a combination of the global psychopaths pushing an already natural cycle. It's already natural cycle. It's in all the prophecies. It happened before. So it's happening. It's not, we can't blame it all on them. And they can't blame it all on us or cow farts either. So a combination of them pushing a natural cycle that's going to happen anyway to make it occur sooner so that they can gain control over humanity so that they can run into their bunkers when the time arrives. Because it's exactly what they're going to do. That's why they're building them. That's their plan. People think they're building it for the great, third war. No, I mean, that could be part of it, sure, but no. They're especially the Facebook dude. I'm not even going to say his name. He just makes me sick. Building one with submarines, and under the ocean. Yeah, he knows. They definitely know. And there's no doubt that they have their own team of astrologers, psychics, remote viewers, perhaps the best in the world, probably the best in the world. They also want immortality, right? We know they want immortality, and they want power over everybody. Hence the whole artificial intelligence and the chips in the brains. More importantly, they have changed, they have shifted, they have lied, and they had been hiding our true history from humanity for God only knows how long. And only a very small circle, the circle of psychopaths, possess the full truth, and maybe a few selected others that are enslaved by them. Just like the people of ancient Egypt. The people of ancient Egypt were enslaved to the pharaohs, right? Well, that's what these global elite think they are. They think they're some kind of darn pharaoh and that they're supposed to have immortality, just like they taught. I just did a video on that on Tuesday. If you missed Tuesdays, check it out, about even the reptilian race, which is funny. So one of the most important pieces of information that I have been holding, that they have been holding from us, not that I have, but they have been holding from us, and anyone who discusses it again or catches on to it are literally labeled, or you're blocked, or your stuff's taken down, or they put you in the dark shadows like the TV show, and then you're labeled as a foil hat wearer or whatever happens, especially when you talk about the approaching date of Friday, April 13th, 2029. A date that will go down into infinity. And not even that date, also, we have March 30th, 2036. That is a very vital time and cycle on our planet. That is the Hopi prophecy. A cycle that could very well relate to the Holy Bible. The 7 years of tribulation, because that is a period of 7 years that Apophis goes around the sun and comes back 7 years later. That would make a lot more sense, actually, the more you think about it. And we also have the Hopi's Blue Kachina prophecy. Now, I'll link when we're done the live. I'll go back and I'll put links up above so that you can find my video, The Great Purifier. You're not going to want to miss that one. The Great Purifier. Again, Friday, April 13th, 2029, I go through all the prophecy in complete detail, telling you how it relates to the Bible prophecy, and not only that, other prophecies too, and how they all link up to this big event that's going to happen in our future. An event that I believe, and many others believe, are going to begin in 2029 on that day. And it's not something to fear, it's something to embrace more than anything. If we look deeply into the past, if we study different cultures, their stories, and more importantly, the prophecies of the past, the present, and the future that have been left behind for humanity thousands of years ago. In every single culture, every ancient culture, there is a similar story. They all talk about a great flood. They all talk about several previous world events that occurred that wiped out humanity in some form or another. And they also all talk about a future event that will reoccur again in the future that's going to change humanity forever. A great fire that burns everything, followed by humans rising up like a phoenix out of the ashes to rebuild the new earth, the next new earth. The fifth one, I believe we're moving into. So there's been 4 previous to us, going all the way back to the stories that they tell us are fiction of Atlantis and Lemuria. It is strongly believed that the Gulf of Mexico was actually formed from the strike of a meteor. There's also signs all over our planet, including right here in Arizona, where we have, what do they call it? Crater Park or something like that. I've been there before. It's pretty wild, actually. Pretty interesting. Really interesting. And it's literally out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. But there's large holes that have been formed from past events on our planet that scientists know, and the government and the elite know, that large meteors and asteroids definitely, without a doubt, rained down upon our planet at one point in time in the past. Big asteroids. And now we see movies like this movie, Greenland, showing us the same scenario. The same exact thing, as if they're desensitizing us to events that they know are going to happen. Telling you in a subconscious way that this is going to happen. When? We don't know. Doesn't mean it's all going to happen on Friday the 13th in 2029. That's just the time cycle that the Hopi people and the natives have told us about. A very important time period. So now they put everything right in front of our faces. The Hopi call it the Great Purifier, and that's the name of my video you're going to want to check out. The Holy Bible refers to it as wormwood, and it has even been called Planet X. It is one of the cultures. It is in all of the cultures, all cultures, as again an event that happened in the past several times over, with the same cultures and prophecies pointing to a time in the future where it will occur again. A time that the Hopis say the Great Purifier is going to cleanse the earth of all evils from the earth. And after the Great Purifier passes the earth, man and women will step back onto the new earth. Others call it the Golden Age. And some even refer to it as shifting into the 5D reality. So, what could we do to prepare for such an impending future disaster? Well, unless you have your own underground fortress, and I wouldn't want to be underground anyway when that happens. They can be there. That underground bunker for them is going to become their tombs. Spirit said that back years ago in a video I did channeling a message from Mother Earth. I'll have to try to remember and link that up above too. It's an old video, but really interesting because it was it might have been 10 years ago that I did that video. So now again, unless you have your own underground fortress or a golden ticket. Do you have a golden ticket to gain access to the government's underground city? Because they have them. I did a whole video on that too. It's called Billionaire Bunkers in the Future Earth or something like that is the name of my video. But at the beginning of the title is Billionaire Bunkers. And I show you the maps of the future channeled through by different people in different cultures. So you can check that video. I'll make sure that link's up above too. So again, unless you have a golden ticket to access to the government's underground, there's simply nothing we can do. Something I highly recommend that you do though, to help you prepare for this, is a simple thing. Celebrate life. Celebrate your life each and every day to the fullest. Do things that bring you joy and happiness. Stay healthy. Stay humbled. Because no matter what, one day in this lifetime, our life will come to an end. One way or another. It's going to happen for all of us. Even though the elite think they're going to live forever, nope, it's going to happen for them too. Regardless of when, regardless of how, it is a part of the process of life and the circle of life. So worrying about a future event like this only takes away from your joy and happiness in this current timeline and even in your future timelines. You may not, none of us actually want to be here for such an impending disaster and doom when it hits, but we could literally be hit today. We could be hit tomorrow, or we might not be hit before our life comes to an exit in this lifetime. So being totally engulfed in the energy of worrying about it is taking away from the true journey that you came on this earth to complete. And that journey is to learn and also to reach levels of abundance, joy, and happiness you didn't believe possible. So being aware of such an event, then you could say, oh, I'm aware and maybe I want to prepare. Maybe I want to move somewhere else. Or maybe I have been feeling like I don't want to be here. Now I know why. Just go with your gut. But more than anything, celebrate. Celebrate everything in your life, because your thoughts and words are the blueprints to your future. And if you worry about being there, you will be there when it happens. If you know you're safe and you'll always be taken care of, when impending doom hits, you'll be safe. You'll be taken care of. And otherwise you're going to create your own personal disaster in your life. And you don't want to do that. So again, I say to you, friends, be humbled, celebrate life, celebrate you. And I very much hope that you enjoyed the content that I put together for you here today. I was live earlier for about 10 minutes with some important information of what just happened over the past few days and what to expect over the weekend. If you missed that, go check it out. Something huge just happened is the title of that video. Other than that, beautiful friends, I hope my sound and all is good and everything's well. And I hope that you have a great weekend. And remember, keep an eye out because things are happening. We are definitely in the time of prophecy. 100% in the time of prophecy. And I always knew since I was a child I would be here to witness it. And now that it's starting to come into fruition, it's literally, it's wild. It's wild. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. I'm like, I knew this. We used to talk about this when we were teenagers, hanging out. We used to talk about all of this happening in the future. We knew it back then. Even the book Phoenix Rising that I shared with you. And I know that I'll be here to see it. And I know we are already beginning to see it. So again, more than anything, take time to celebrate your life, celebrate you. Remember to join me on Tuesday for another episode of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time Prediction Update. Thank you for showing your love. It took a lot of time to put this together, so show your love by smashing that there thumbs up love button. And there was one other thing I wanted to tell you. Now I just drew a blank. Oh yeah, and I will have my Simpsons prediction prophecy video out probably, hopefully on Monday. So check it out. Remember, be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you, and be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Why? Because you're freaking awesome. Have a beautiful weekend, friends. Much love. Much love.